Love
Mu-
him.
Music is the language of the soul. Rhythm is love, and that is what my show is about. As much as I love the music, I love the musicians more. My show is about expressing individual taste. It's not about uniformity. We have enough of that going on in our society, and it's hurting us. Noel Cole, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Hello.
Good day, sir.
How's it going?
And it's good to connect with you, brother.
Yeah, it is.
I
It is
uh
as well.
I I, I just wanted to harken back and ask you what was the most inspiring sort of professional thing you picked up on from Circles Around the Sun and specifically Adam McDougall.
Oh my God. Oh man.
Because those guys
McDougal.
are like trying to. This is the farm system, It's like all coming
Yeah.
up. All right, so you just take
Yeah.
just go where your mind takes you, bro.
Well, okay, so I met McDougal because he was recording with my friend Gary and his band Dark Tea, which I've been affiliated with since New York.
Hmm.
Um, and the first time I ever saw him was I think he was playing in Grateful Shred. And I was like, who is this sonic wizard? Like I had no idea who this guy was.
Oh man,
And
dude, the
you
golden
know,
locks. I mean, he's everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he on that tour, I got to know him a little bit. And I feel like I guess the his dedication to his work is really inspiring and how much
Can
of
you
a
give an
virtual.
example? Give an example on the bandstand of that. That's very interesting because
Yeah.
disciplines. It's you got to show up for the gig, but give me an example of that discipline that was inspiring to you.
Well, he's just always behind a keyboard. Like it's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's he
I
does
dig.
he's kind of like Jerry in an essence where he's never, we would show up to sound check, and even when they were done sound checking, he would still be like playing keyboards. Like he's just so dedicated to his craft, and I find that so inspiring, because I'm like that to a certain point, but like I kind of have ADD, and I don't know if it's just because he smokes like 10 joints in a day and can just really like zone in on
Right.
his craft.
He's getting high by 10 a.m.
He's probably stoned right now
Right.
somewhere.
Well,
I
no
don't know,
doubt about it.
but
I mean, no, but
yeah.
you take necessary breaks from the apparatus. You're not just like, it's
Yeah,
funny.
I operate very differently than like I'm more in tune with the divine creative spirit that
Absolutely.
comes through me, and it
Absolutely.
comes in like bursts. So like I'll be just like going about my day, and then I'll have to stop in my tracks to like hum a melody or like write lyrics or have a guitar part, but that's lasts like 10 minutes. And then I have to kind of, I can't force
But
things.
but
And
that's the
so
divine.
my
That's the
my
divine.
pro
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, my process is slow, but that's the really great thing about having a band, because I really champion the community creative effort. I think that is where it's at. I think that playing with people that you jive with and working stuff out and hearing their own sonic interpretations of things that you've like kind of conjured um is the bread and butter to making something that is powerful and moving and deep and symphonic and or whatever it is, like yeah, you know
Um,
what I mean.
no, what I was going to say is that the true authentic divine experience happens in milliseconds, like 10 minutes or a minute,
Yeah.
and that's it. And then there's all this information download, and then that's inspiring, and then you go back to being trying to raise the vibration, even though the vibration at this point in time in civilization is incredibly low. So it's very heavy. and it's a very heavy
Yeah.
lift, you know. And but those cathartic. How early in your life were you having those kind of moment with God kind of situations?
Well, I think it's always been a constant thing. I definitely had to go through a lot of adolescent ambiguity and my spiritual connection to the earth.
As we all do.
Um,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
I think obviously like psychedelics have played a helpful role in that. But also, beyond that, I think that hardship and trauma, even though it's something that we all experience through like therapeutic endeavors, you can really find these like centers of the cyclone to exist in. Um, I don't really have like a specific time. I feel like, but like I just feel like as I get older and as I grow as, a musician is I feel more connected every day. But some days I don't. Like, it just depends on where I'm at emotionally.
Well, I mean, to me, like, you know, you, everyone has their own interpretation or experience of the divine or connection to, you know, the higher power. And I wonder if, you know, I was raised somewhat agnostic, and
Yeah.
my parents were very suspicious of dogma, but in reality, they're actually very spiritual people. And then I received the Tao, and that fundamentally altered my existence. For a variety of reasons. It's an Eastern way of life. It's not a religion. But
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
can you talk about a psychedelic experience where you, you know, sometimes you trip out and then you eat another hit in the morning, and it's just like it's like a very blissful day. You're just
Yeah.
like laughing, but those are, and then that's wiped away. But then there's other that, you know, that are seared into your DNA, and I wonder if there was
Yeah.
like a connection to
I
source.
guess there's a I guess there's a few um just tagging along to like how I was raised a Jew but
Mm-hmm.
pretty reformed. And my mom is a hippie, and my dad's pretty high and tight, clean cut. But
He's a square cat.
I
Square
feel
cat.
basically what happened is that I was raised a Jew, and then I made a deal with my parents that I was like, after my bar mitzvah, I I don't want to go to synagogue anymore. And then I had like, 13, 14, you start reading fucking Albert Camus and Kafka, and you get really nihilistic. And,
If you
and then,
actually,
I
if
had
you,
to
yeah,
have,
I mean, that's not a, you obviously don't have that much ADD if you read that shit.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It comes in waves.
No, I mean, yeah,
But,
go ahead. Yeah.
you know, I think that, yeah, I just think it takes time to really understand your spiritual path. And I do appreciate uh, uh, I'm kind of on this thing where I like reading all this stuff, and I'll read like Thomas Merton and Robert Anton Wilson. I'll like read all the guys and girls, and kind of I like forming my own sort of
Absolutely
idea
essential.
of my
Continue to
spirituality.
do it, baby. Do it.
Yeah. But anyway, with the psychedelic thing, so my sister is a healer. She just opened up a clinic in Cancun that administers ibogaine
What,
to
what is that?
it's a plant. It's synthesized from a plant from West Africa called the iboga. It's kind of like ayahuasca but without the cultural connotations to it. But anyway, through my sister's journey, she started doing ayahuasca, and then she told me that I needed to do it. And then, I'm 20 at this time in my life. And, that was the real first time, I've had my bad trips and stuff, but that was my real first time where I was really thrown into a world that I didn't really comprehend. And, talking about trips that like have like, pierced through your DNA is that's one that really shaped kind of my curiosity of the unknown, because I was put into this world with all these different sort of entities and extraterrestrials that, were harming and helping me, I guess.
Right.
And and I feel like that period was kind of like my first divine intervention that I've had, and I've still, I still think about that experience that I have often. More recently though, I took some acid up in upstate. And what's the town where Timothy Leary lived? Millbrook?
Millbrook, yeah, absolutely.
Millbrook?
Yep,
Yeah. So I
that's it.
have a friend that lives up there who's an equestrian. So we were staying on a horse farm that looked like it was straight out of a Tchaikovsky movie. And it was beautiful, but
Sick.
it was cool because this kind of ties back to music, but I was I think I might have been peaking, and I stepped away from the group and I went into my friend's living room and I put on that Pembroke Pines 77 show where they do Work Cat into Terrapin, into half of Terrapin into Morning Dew. Are you
That was
familiar
a, if
with
I
that?
remember, if I remember correctly,
Sweet.
that was a Dick's Picks, maybe.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
Dick's Picks,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I put on the Matrix recording of that and I
Tricks,
just sat and
tricks.
listened to it.
Wow.
And music can connect you to the now, even stuff that's been recorded fucking millions of minutes ago. And
In the now, be here now, man. I did.
yeah, I know. And so and the sun was setting and the golden light of the sun was going through the trees through the windows, and I just started bawling out of just stillness and happiness, and I felt dead and alive all at the same time. And really feel like, it was like kind of like the Alan Watts, like perfect, like this is it moment that I had, and it was really beautiful. And I try to I try to keep that memory and feeling with me, and I always am like, I say to myself I need to have a trip every year or something like that as a part of my like spiritual growth and processing of bullshit that happens in the daily life, and to deconnect from the stream of bullshit that we're always surrounded with, and you know try to stay
I just want to
optimistic.
say, gratitude is the attitude. So, be grateful that you even had that experience, because that is proof right there. And, then it's about just staying strong and knowing that that is the truth. But yet the vibration is so low that it's almost suffocating, but you have to hang on to that feeling. I just want to ask you something.
Yeah.
I want you to go back to this. You said something to the effect, it's like ayahuasca, this ibogu plant, but
Iboga, yeah.
without the cultural
Yeah.
ambivalence or connotation. What do you mean by that?
Like well, from my understanding,
I mean, Aaron
ayahuasca is
Rodgers is eating ayahuasca,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Ayahuasca is a plant, obviously a plant from South America, and has had eons of use in an indigenous way. Um, and there's been multiple religions built around that plant. Um, and I believe in the passing of like genetics, like
Mm-hmm.
epigenetics, like through cultures and religions and people and plants and everything. So there are these things that people, I feel like Westerners experience on ayahuasca, and if they're not trained or trained in a level of intellectualism and understanding of these cultures and religions, that they get exposed to things that they can't quite comprehend, and then that makes the integration process a really difficult. And that's just from my own personal experience, because I was so young when I did it, and I didn't really think about that stuff until afterwards.
This is fantastic,
And
because I want to tell you something. Like, because what you're describing, the experience you had is, I mean, I've interviewed so many healers aside from musicians, and every one of them had that yin and yang of that ayahuasca trip. I mean, there is, and you did it at a very young age, but don't be mistaken.
Yeah.
Everybody has this. I mean, that, you know, you feel like you're, again, I was coming from somebody who hasn't done it, but like you did it so young. Uh, that is, that is fascinating. I mean, was there a shaman involved, or
Yeah.
basically?
Yeah, there was a shaman involved, but like I'm gonna tell you just the one big thing that
Hmm,
happened during that trip that really
please.
kind of made me think about it in this way is there was a moment where I was taken to the jungle, shot off from the astral plane to wherever I was at to the jungle, and I was in the jungle,
Ugh,
and the spirit of the plant, I was like facing it, and whatever it was like a multi-dimensional amorphous blob, and it didn't have a mouth, but it was talking to me. And it was like the burning thing.
so great, man.
Yeah, but she, whatever it was, like, hey, like, you came here to, one of my intentions was I wanted to discover a root of one of my anxieties that I have, just to
Hmm.
be like, what is this like constant daily pressure I'm feeling from the unknown? Anyway, um, and it was like, hey, like, I got ripped away from my home and traveled 1,000 miles to come do this work with you. And I don't really like that. I don't like being ripped away from my home. Um, and it was basically like, if you really want to do the work and gain more insight on this stuff that I'm showing you, you need to meet me down in the jungle. And
That was a
and then
message.
and
So that was a message you got when you were still landlocked. Then you went to the jungle.
no, I was like psychedelically in the jungle.
So then, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And this was like during my trip that was in upstate New York in like a house.
So
Um,
this wasn't ayahuasca. This was just acid.
no, this was ayahuasca. These are two different stories. This is when I was like 20.
Oh, this
Um,
is wow. This is crazy.
th-
Wow, go ahead.
yeah, and so um and then it was kind of like, and now I'm gonna show you a bunch of shit you don't really understand. And then I just got like like thrown into this like wormhole of like craziness that I like
Wow.
kind of feel like maybe suppressed from my mind a little bit because it's kind of hazy. But ever
That's
since
just
then I
that
thought,
was just stuff that you were supposed to like see and never, and it was deleted immediately from the hard drive.
yeah. The worst part about that trip is I was kind of having a bad time, and one of the helpers came over and started singing to me "Imagine" by John Lennon, and I had to tell her to stop. I was
Absolutely,
like,
that's
I
absolutely
was like, I
horrendous.
was like, I
What
was
is she
like, don't.
thinking?
I know. I was like, dude, don't. I just like grabbed her softly. I was like, can you just be quiet?
Throw on a miss.
Like I was
Throw on,
like,
yeah. I mean,
I don't,
throw
I
on a
don't need to hear that.
throw on
I'd
a
rather
miss.
listen to
Yeah,
Bitches Brew.
yeah. Throw on like a Mississippi Moon from '82. You know, like give me
Yeah,
Kreutzmann
yeah,
and Garcia any day of the week. Don't be singing
yeah,
Imagine. What the fuck? Um,
yeah. It definitely hurt. But um,
so let me
I
ask you.
haven't gone
Let
to
me.
the
Yeah,
jungle.
yeah.
I
Go ahead.
I haven't gone to the jungle. I haven't gone back. I've been really into psychotherapy. I have a really great therapist in Toronto. His name is Simeon. He's a saxophone player, hyper intelligent guy. But I've been working with him for about 4 years, and honestly, I'm finding that that kind of work is maybe a little bit, for me at least, a little bit more substantial in terms of helping me understand myself and my roots of anxiety and unlocking trauma and letting myself regress back to the child so the child can grow. You know what I mean?
Hey, man. Mad props to you, man. It's funny because I was in psychotherapy when I was like 7 or 8 years old and up through my marriage, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I stopped going, and the only thing that comes close to being psychic psychotherapy for dis-ease is rhythm, primarily from cats like Dan Horn, John Lee Shannon, Mark Levy. guys in Grateful Shred. You know, I live in Tucson, but those cats, the rhythm that they put out to a non-musician journalist is the only, and I've been marinating in psychotherapy for years,
Mhm.
and this, I kind of want you to talk about um, taking the fact that your brain was blown open at such an early age. You were obviously a curious cat. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, a lot of anticipatory anxiety. I ask you,
Absolutely.
how how did that sort of psychedelicized brain, how do you take that approach to songwriting?
Well, it's a good question.
Or even, or just jamming on a theme, you know, like not giving a shit, but
Yeah,
just like going off, like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Well, let's tie back to McDougal real quick.
Hmm.
I remember this. We played this show in Richmond, when we were on tour with them, and I was, what McDougal was like watching us, and his eyes were closed, and he was like really listening to us,
Oh, I love
and
this. Oh, this is great.
I loved it. I was like, this is awesome that he's like really listening
He's
to the
digging it, yeah.
band, and
Hmm.
yeah, he was digging it, and he told me that he was like, man, like you guys, what did he say? He was like, you guys are like the Rolling Stones. Like it's not, it's like perfectly sloppy, but in like the good way. And like it's loose and like, it's very free and all that stuff. And I really appreciated, Rolling Stones are like one of my favorite bands. So like, I was like, this is great. This is like kind of like, what I feel like Color Green is trying to do is to continue the art of rock and roll and pushing it to a modern era without it being like contrived or like a throwback thing or derivative or anything like that, but like wearing your influences on your sleeves but also standing at the same pedestal as them. You know what I mean?
I want you to get, no, so how have you, what, give me an example of bringing it into the modern era.
I think I think that I think that that is something that kind of ties to how we record, like how we just made a new record and it's not out yet, but how we record is, and like what things we put in there. And I always strive to not be like a throwback band, and I think that I'm doing it successfully where it has these like elements in the lyrics and the guitar playing and like like pulling from bands that are existing now and like in the early 2000s, like just taking all your influences and
Sure.
and just kind of throwing it into the pot. I don't really know how to quite explain like what is it that
No, but
it's
I think this is
modern,
very
but I
important. This is very important because McDougal said you guys cooked with enough grease, not too much
hmm
grease, where it was a little bit
hmm
sloppy. But you know, basically, I'm trying to get at the idea of like the Rolling Stones. I mean, Charlie Watts was such a great drummer that they could like, you know, they still go around the edges
oh dude,
without
and
getting, you know.
our drummer is like I feel like, so we have
Why don't
this
you talk about
woman Corey Rose.
yeah, she's just unreal, man. Holy mama.
So with her and then Kyla, and I literally see like Kyla is like Bill Wyman. Like she is consistent, like holds it down. It's a stone cold, like, stoic face on stage, and then Rose has this Charlie Watts pocket. And
Wow.
it provides for me and Corey to have a lot of freedom in how we are communicating with our guitar playing and with the band. And like,
Mm.
meeting Corey, like when I met, there's two Corys in the band. I'm gonna call the drummer Rose and Corey, the other guitar player in the band, Corey.
Got
But
it.
when I met Corey, and we first started doing the idea of this band together, it was like, it everything clicked in the way we play guitar together, how we write together. Like it was like one of those things where it's like this person is going to be like a partner for life kind of thing.
Sure.
um so it's, and then finding, we finally have like a solid band now because it started off as a duo. that it's been crazy just like working together. You know, we wrote and recorded an album in 2 months, which is insane. Like they got everything done. Like that's pretty wild.
I want to ask
You know what
you
I mean?
about. I want to ask you about um, because the first thing you said when we talked about bringing it into the modern era was in the studio. But I actually am curious. Like, have you? What is your feeling about? Do you have enough? Are you able to road dog enough where you could potentially take new material and road test it for a year and then go in the studio? To me, like,
Well,
you know how much?
that is kind of like
Yeah.
that's kind of like what. So like we just signed to a booking agent and stuff like that, and that's
Hmm.
kind of like what my next plan is. Now, you know, if you really think about, like, nobody knows who I am, so I'm just gonna be like, this band has only been around for like
Well, whatever, dude. You just go
a
straight ahead.
year.
You just go straight
Yeah,
right
like
ahead,
it's
man.
been around, like we've only been touring for a year as this band. Like we've
Hmm.
all had put in the work. I'm a full-time touring musician and session musician and stuff like that.
Sure.
But like um um the band Color Green in the next few years is going to be a monster of on the road and writing and
I
doing all
love
that
it.
stuff.
I
Like I'm
love it.
already writing for the third record and I have ideas of what I want it to be like and sound like. But you know, we're about to go on a tour at the end of July. I haven't announced it yet because I'm finalizing some details, but you know, the road is really where the band thrives, and the band thrives live, and the songs thrive live, and the songs become more and more dynamic and complex through working and being on the road, you know?
Well, that was my question, was because I mean, guys like Pat Metheny, when he was with Danny Gottlieb, Mark Egan, they were out again. It's a very different time and very stifling for live spiritual music on the bandstand consistently. So I want to factor that in. But those guys went out and toured material, took on a life of its own, and then recorded it. How do you feel about the
Yeah.
idea of, you know what I'm saying? Like you've made, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of cats in today's world, they make album after album, they go tour the songs and they just play them the same way they are off the album, except if they actually went out. Grateful Dead didn't go in the studio for 7 years, you know? And then, I mean, the point is
Yeah.
that, you know, like I wonder about your philosophy, not that you, whether you like it or, but what is your philosophy as it relates to letting the songs take on a life of their own before you go in the studio?
I actually haven't, we haven't really done that yet, but I'm open
No,
to
I'm sorry, dude. But I mean, to me,
yeah.
like that's like the baddest cats are the ones that do that, dude. Yeah,
I
yeah,
know. And that's
yeah.
what I'm planning on doing for this next cycle of songs that we have. But ultimately also like with the Color Green songs, they are so up to our own interpretation. Yeah, there's some things that stay consistent, but I think every one of our shows is different and things develop more and more. And that's why I'm excited to be on the road more and more because we wrote these songs for them to be able to grow, you know, that they're not like, I just see recordings as these timepieces of what was.
Mm.
And I'm always interested in well, you know, I'm a musician, so I have to keep myself interested as well. But you know,
Oh, you have to get yourself off if you're going to get the cats off, you know,
yeah,
the audience.
exactly.
You know, I mean, that's a very fine. Would you say? Can you talk about your concept of? I mean, a lot of people, um, like in the language of your band, if you wanted to, um, you know, what kind of vocabulary is there in terms of going into jazz? Is there the opportunity for extension of vocabulary, or do you feel like that would potentially, you know, McDougal's closing his eyes and he's listening to it and he's thinking about, you know, the opportunity to play more in front of larger crowds, bigger crowds, you know, how much, how free does it get in a Color Green set? Because the stuff that I was seeing had like it was a lot of grease, man. It was a lot of meters and funk and like it was cool shit, man. You know, like
Yeah,
you know, but
yeah, yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's fine. I just to me, it's like I always want to see cats, and I'm gonna push them out of their comfort zone so that they're going over the edge. Do you guys feel like you get over the edge?
there's times I think that I think that since the band is so new that we're still figuring out how to communicate with each other.
Right.
And but I do like, like we're all everybody in the band's heads and we're listening to so much stuff in the van. Like we were covering Steve Hillage for a little bit. Like we're kind of like on that tip, like of that kind of freedom.
This is unreal, dude. You guys
like
are out, man. Out.
Yeah, we listen to
Holy
like
shit.
Gong in the car and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like
No, but but I also want to be clear. It's communal. Do you guys make a point to say we have to do communal listening? Like you guys get off on that?
yeah, like we're like
It's a lost art, man. It's a very lost art. It's a lot of cats don't do that anymore.
Cool.
Yeah.
But pushing the boundaries of sonic nature for the band is something I'm always interested in. And every time we play, I record the set and I make everyone listen to the set in the car. And then we talk about things that we can do differently. And I'm always, you should see me in the studio because I'm like, what if we try this? What if we do this? Like I'm pretty like manic in there, like trying to figure out every possibility. But I don't know. I'm also somebody that is a sucker for pop songs, and I love like a really well written song.
Absolutely.
And my whole idea is with Color Green is to write these pop songs, but then have these like sections in them where like maybe on a recording it's like very straight to the point, but live like we stretch it out for another like 10 to 20 minutes.
I just wonder about your concept. I kind of already know the answer, but the idea that that any note can be the one, the downbeat.
Yeah.
What and specifically, a lot of cats are like, "Where's the one? Where's the one?" And it's like James Jamerson used to be like, "Any note can be the one." But when you with the band, like, is that something you want to get to and do? Because it's still too early to. I mean, the Dead are the obvious example of like, they got better and better at being able to, lose it and then come back in together. And when they hit it, it was orgasmic. And I just wonder, like, if that.
I always talk about that. You know what I call that?
Huh.
I call it the spot. It's kind of like nitrous too, but
yeah, no, it's the G spot. Yeah,
it's the spot in between the breaths. So like, there's the large inhale.
Whoa.
And then there's that spot. And then the
Kohll, dude. That is some of the. Dude, you better patent that shit, dude.
No, but I see it as like, when you're making music, like how far can you get with that inhale? And then where's the point where you're in that spot, that in between spot, and then that exhale back into like wherever, like the slingshot. But and that's like my philosophy, and like that's where I'm at. And obviously I'm working with 3 other people in there, so sometimes I have to push. I'm probably I'm the one that likes the jam bands the most in the band, for sure.
Absolutely. So well, I want you to keep
Corey,
I want you to keep riding them really hard in that direction. Right?
Yeah. Corey's like, he's like, I'm Grateful Dead. He loves the Allman Brothers. Like,
well, but I mean, the Allmans. I mean, like, it was okay. It wasn't the same kind of thing, but I'm sorry, but they had double drums right around the same time the Dead did. I mean,
he's the real grease. He's greasy. He's the greasiest player.
He's a greasy cat. All I'm saying is like I wonder. In terms of the studio shark of you that you in order to sing for yourself, or are you bothered by the lack of human intimacy in the studio? I mean, I remember Don Randy, the great keyboardist, he was like, before it was like, him and Hal Blaine were cooking the groove and, making all these records, Leon Russell, whatever. And then all of a sudden he's like, now he comes in, he plugs in, he plays his solo and he's done. And
I don't really operate like that.
So I knew. So the only gigs, the only studio gigs are with human pulse. I want pulse, man.
Yeah, and that's what I tend to strive for in recordings. I'm really excited for the second. I don't know when it's going to come out and like what the deal is, but I really think this newest record we made is you know what I mean? Like take the Grateful Dead's first record. They don't sound like the Dead yet. They're still trying to figure out like what their band is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's something that I feel like we're getting there with this second album. Everything that I wanted to do on the first album, I didn't know how to do, but I did it on the second one. And it's I think about, I was listening to a lot of Beach Boys and like symphonic music, and I really wanted to make this like kind of like, I love, like, one of my favorite modern bands right now is Spiritualized. Like the intent. Do you ever listen to that band?
I'm not hip to them, but I'll check them out.
It's incredible, but
Yeah.
it's, like these beautiful.
What do you get off about? What do you get off about them?
They're like these. He's this guy named Jason Spaceman. He was in this band Spaceman 3, and then he went off and did his own thing. But he's this British guy. He's a genius. But he writes these beautiful, beautiful pop songs that are so simple, and they echo like Phil Spector and Brian Wilson and all that stuff. And he will have the simplest melody interwinding with another really beautiful simple melody, and then it's like this, like all his songs are these like beautiful orchestral pieces with these like peaks and valleys and everything. And like I saw him live. I went to the Fonda Theater with Corey and we ate mushrooms, and it really like really like, so like it did some, that's I have goosebumps talking about it. But like that show, like, is after that show is when me and Corey started writing for the second record.
Wow.
And like it was really influential. He would do these things with these songs where it would just blow up in these like beautiful fireworks of cacophony, and they would get so lost in it, and then they would just shoot right back into like just gorgeous pieces of music. And he was playing with a rock band. Like it was like 3 guitars, bass, drums, and then 3 backup singers and a keyboardist. Like it was just so special. But and I really, everything feels so complicated these days, and I don't think music should be that complicated right now.
Well, I mean,
like,
it's easy to make it complicated because there's just so much technology out there to clutter it up. I mean,
what we did for this newest record, and I keep on talking about the new record like people know what it sounds like, but they don't. But what we did with this newest record,
it hasn't come out yet, right?
Yeah. What we did with this newest record is that we put everything on it. Like we had, multiple tracks of stuff, and then during mixing we started shaving things away and like figuring out what fits and where it is, and flying in stuff for like a song, like a verse of a song, and then taking it out, and like creating this like kind of like sonic world that is the band. And it was, I like being in the studio because I'm working with people and I'm working with my close friends, and it feels very fulfilling. But I also like playing live because I get to connect with people that I don't play with. It's like an audience.
We need you guys down in Arizona. I'm in Tucson. We'd love to get you guys.
we played 191 Tool like.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this was in like March of last year.
Okay, let's slow down. March of 2022?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, March of 2022. Yeah. We're in 2023, right?
Yes. Yo, dude.
Okay.
Okay, so it's feasible. It's feasible. You guys can be getting back. All I'm saying is that I feel like,
well, we're playing Flagstaff in the end of September, and I think we'll probably come to Tucson.
Get down here, guys. No, I was gonna say,
yeah.
One of the biggest issues I'm having, and I even have it at circle shows, is I believe that music is made for dancing and burning, and like I just wonder about like how you've, as an artist and also just a purveyor of the arts, if you recognized how conformity is even leaking into essentially music that's dance music. I mean, Little Feat, I went to see them at the Rialto Theater. It was a sit-down show. Now, part of it's because they made the call to put seats up front to get more dough. Okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Whatever, you got to make your money. But the point is, cats are like...
That's not even Little Feat either.
I don't even
Little
know,
feet
dude. But
died
you know
when
what? It's
little
like,
George died.
it's like who? Like it's Demiola's coming. I'm gonna fucking throw him off the
Yeah.
stage. But
Oh,
you know
was
what?
he
It's like
playing?
he's playing in Tucson, dude. He's coming, dude. I'm gonna be
Really?
hanging. I'm gonna
Oh,
be hanging with Al, dude. Yeah.
that Friday Night in San Francisco record,
Oh my
my
God,
guitar
dude,
teacher turned that.
mind melting shit.
He turned that on to me at 10. So I've been ahead with that since I was a bit, that one of
Wow,
my favorite
10
records
years
when I was like,
old, dude.
yeah,
Paco in your ears, man. No,
yeah.
but I mean, like,
Paco, John McLaughlin, and Daniola is so good.
I mean, are you aware that we're becoming more and more, I don't know what the right word is, but I just know that as somebody who has out of body experiences and cathartic experiences at spiritual musical concerts, I'm being stifled because they want you to sit. And I wanted you to
Yeah,
talk about that if you're aware of that and what you feel about that.
I don't know. I see people dance all the time, so
Good, good.
I have no idea. I play in this other band that is more like for kids, and it's really cool seeing all these kids come out and just wild out. It's so
What do you play?
I think
You play like Raffy tunes? What are you doing?
no, it's like
Mm,
an indie rock band
wow.
called Surf Curse, but
Mm, mm.
um you know uh that's like my like day job, basically. But yeah, so I think honestly, man, like I've been exposed to Gen Z stuff a lot, and
Sure.
I honestly think that they're gonna save our asses. They are so intelligent and bright, and I really think that we have that's like the generation that's really gonna fix things. I have faith.
What are the years on Gen Z? On Gen Z.
I don't know. They're like, how old? Let's see here. Gen Z.
Yeah.
They're like, we're born from 2000 to 2010.
Yeah, that's my older daughter. Yeah, she's an absolute
Yeah.
stone genius, and on top of that,
Yeah.
a humble, amazing leader. So basically, they're our only hope.
So you're going to see Little Feet, and there's a bunch of old
It's
folks
just
around there you don't
wanking it,
know.
man. They're like, yo, you can dance in the aisles. Like, yo, I'm fucking getting off, man. I'm not talking, it's just like, I mean, I realize people are dancing at your shows, but I'm talking like circles, man, in this little cozy theater. I mean, it was almost like a fucking studio jam, but it was live. And this cat comes up to me. He's like, hey, man, my boys are sitting. They can't see. Can you move? I'm like, dude, can they not walk? Tell them to get out of their fucking
Yeah.
chair. It's fucking about
Yeah.
dancing, man. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
What I'm just saying, like,
I get it.
it's the conformity shit. That's what I'm feeling, man. That's the tension I'm feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of desensitization going on. Um, and I feel like part of the desensitization act is people don't know how to act around other people, especially
Mm-hmm.
when they're seeing some live music.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
But I don't. I think some are more prone to it than others.
In general, do you feel like that your music is like becoming a little bit more conscious of? I mean, just going back to when we had a record-based music industry. I mean, so many of those cats, the section, Lee Sklar, Danny Korchmar, all those cats, they were going home and throwing on. They wanted to hear what cats were talking about, whether it was
Mm-hmm.
Crosby or Neil Young. I just wonder, like, if there's some kind of issue that really is poignant for you that you try to express either, sort of, in a very sort of poetic way or just outright way. What would that be in terms of like social justice or anything like that?
I think that I tried to communicate uh, the experience of what what we all experience of was just being human and trying to understand my humanity, and thus when I'm writing, it's like bringing this like togetherness in the fact that we all have these experiences of trauma and mental illness or whatever, happiness, but just communicating that it's this equal thing, is like my goal. You know, obviously have my own political views and stuff like that, but I don't feel like as a white man that I need to be pushing
I dig.
my
But you're Jewish,
dogma
man. You're
onto
Jewish,
people.
man. You're
Yeah,
Jewish. No, come on,
yeah.
man. I mean, we're there.
And like
Yeah,
obviously obviously there's things that kind of seep through it, and
yeah.
frustrations, and you know, the social commentary I feel like is, there's the one song we have, Ill-Fitting Suit, is
Hmm.
kind of a social commentary on like the rocker scene in the West Coast cowboy scene. And it's also like I was listening to a lot of like Donald Fagen, and like trying to like find a way to like poke fun at myself, but also like kind of poking fun at people that
Well, like, what are you talking about? Like
that
Nightfly and shit, IGY, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I love it.
But like, you
The
know,
spandex
poking
jackets,
fun at
man. Yeah.
myself. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's exactly like that exact song too. You know,
Exactly.
like
It's spandex
it's
jackets, one for everyone, baby.
yeah, but like, you know, like it's just like I was trying to communicate this
Hmm.
thing where it's like you don't have to like, you don't need to play dress up to express yourself, but even sometimes I have to do that.
I just, you know what
You
it
know
is?
what I
Like, even
mean?
if you're going to dress up, don't take yourself so seriously. Like, you are
Yeah,
merely a vessel. That was the thing I
yeah,
wanted to ask you about, is that in your musical, especially, not in a square or formula trip setting, but, part of it's really about being, I don't want, humble might be the wrong word. It's literally like having fun. Like, I don't care if you dress up, but like, it's a matter of being like,
yeah.
do you feel
I didn't mean like stage dress up or anything like that, but more of like this like cosplay thing.
absolutely?
Do you know
Almost,
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
yeah, for sure, dude. I love Dr. John. Dr. John was the fucking king of costumes on stage. You know what I mean? Like
But
I'm totally down
here it
for
is.
that.
Here's the thing: is that, and again, we're talking about, there's just, I've done like 8 interviews with Jim Keltner. He's a dear friend, and like, cats will be like talking about like, hey, you know, as you get older, the phone stops ringing as much, and these cats become resentful because they felt they were fully responsible for what was coming out of their apparatus or their voice or whatever, when in
Hmm.
fact they were only partially responsible for it. That the musicians that are in touch with the divine are a vessel or a conduit for information coming through them from the heavens. And I wanted to know
Hmm.
when you got that memo. When you kind of were like, it was a Socratic thing of, I know that I know nothing, and it's okay, because when people come off the stage and say, "How did you do that?" You say, "I have no idea."
Yeah, I
You
definitely
really.
black out when I'm up there. I have like so much anticipatory anxiety until I'm like on stage with a guitar in my hand,
Right.
and I'm like fine.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
but you know, I think like I said at the beginning, I think it's just experience, and doing it over and over again to enter that headspace of nothingness. And you know, I think I just think with anything in regards to being a plumber or being a neuroscientist or a musician, is you just kind of have to do it over and over again, and then you kind of, something clicks eventually. I can't really timestamp it for myself because I still feel like I'm growing,
The
you know.
reality is, though, that you'll probably be dealing with this kind of, um, uh, anticipatory anxiety, and then getting on stage every time and being in the getting trying to and being basically being totally comfortable and in the flow.
Oh, it
And that
happens every day, all the
and you
time.
basically just have to own that, and then, like, because that's that any artist is, that's being honest and trying to tell a story about their life. I mean, ultimately you have to have a story to tell, and
Yeah.
so anyone that's doing that, is probably going through the same thing, and they can never get to a
What's that
point.
Willie Nelson line?
It's-
If you can't write a song if you got nothing to say.
well, I
You
mean,
know,
all I'm
Shotgun
saying is that,
Willie.
like, I just feel like so many of these people that we immortalize are tie themselves in pretzels, and once they get on stage, but they can never ever get to a point where there's relaxation before, because otherwise you wouldn't get the certain performance. So I just feel like
Yeah, it's like an
yeah,
energetic buildup or something like that.
something.
Yeah.
I feel that all the time, and I also just feel
Yeah.
like, man, like, I don't know. I grew up in a family that, we always talked. We would fight, but we'd always make up and always tell each other we love each other. And I always try to pass that on to my kids. And I just say to myself, for someone like yourself, just drop all the fucking self-critical shit. Like, it's really about self-love. It's unconditional, and ultimately you got to love yourself if you're going to bring that out to the world. So, as Herbie Hancock said, hang up your hang-ups, baby, whatever's left, but you're on your path, and, you got momentum. And I just feel like, you also have to look at it for the long haul. Like, this is, I know, it's not overnight, but also it's like, we're talking years,
Oh
years,
yeah.
and then, like, I think, yeah, and
I'm
as
in
long
it
as you're,
until I
yeah,
fucking die.
right. You know what?
Whenever that
Then
is.
that's all I'm saying is, like, it's taken me, I'm on the air 12 years now doing my show in different forms, but only after 10 years did I start making money. And it's not even that much money. So I'm saying, like, it's your purpose in life. You found your purpose, but you have to enjoy all the flubs, all the clams, all the disasters.
I love the flubs.
Clubs, man.
I live
It's
for
clam time,
flubs.
dude. Yeah, man. Oh, Kohll, man, I gotta hop out of here, but dude, it was such a ball, and I can't wait to hang with you cats when you come to Zone.
Yeah. I love Tucson.
I mean, it's fucking hot as
Tucson.
shit right now.
Yeah, I love it there though. I love it there. I have
It's
some
just, I mean,
friends there. I
it's,
like,
yeah.
that bar, the St. Charles Tavern?
St. Charles Tavern?
Yeah.
You sure about that? I've never heard of
Yeah,
that shit.
it's a good spot.
Dude, who are you, man? What the fuck is going on? No, I'm a Long Island cat, but I found
Oh,
my voice.
cool.
Yeah, I found my.
Kyla, our bassist Kyla is from Long Island.
I'm gonna interview. By the way, the female rhythm section, very hip, by the way.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Oh my god, I dig it,
They're
man.
good.
I mean, I dig
The jam band fans can't believe that there's girls playing music when they see us live.
It's, well,
It
I'm
blows
telling
their
you.
mind.
I mean, John Lee Shannon hit me to you guys, and that dude is an angel.
I
And,
fucking love John. He's great.
he's one of the.
I sold him a guitar recently.
Which guitar?
I sold him a Guild SG 100 from 1971.
Oh my god, this is fantastic. This, all I'm saying is, you stay on the righteous path, and
You too, my friend.
man, I had a fucking ball, man.
Yeah,
and
same.
I'll be in touch. I'll get to everybody in the group, but we're gonna be rocking. Flagstaff, September. Get down to Tucson, all right?
Yeah, we'll get over there.
Color green, baby.
All right. Peace out, man.
Much love, man.
Much love. Bye.
Peace.